Let's talk about something huge, a hidden flaw in the way we think that impacts almost every major decision out there, from what happens in a courtroom to a doctor's office. We're going to pull back the curtain on the invisible problem of noise. Okay, to really get this, let's start with a really simple but powerful metaphor. Picture a shooting range. You've got a few different teams, and every single shot they take is like a judgment or a decision. Now, one team is just about perfect, right? But it's the other teams that tell the real story. Now, we're all familiar with Team B's problem. That's bias. All their shots are clumped together, but they're consistently hitting the wrong spot. We talk about bias all the time, but we almost never talk about Team C. Their shots are all over the place. It's not a consistent error. It's just random, unpredictable scatter. You could say that when it comes to human error, bias gets to be the star of the show. Noise is the flaw we almost never even notice. So here's the crucial point. When we talk about error, we're really talking about two totally different things. The total error in any judgment is a combination of bias, that systematic miss, and noise, that random scatter. You absolutely cannot understand the full picture of why we get things wrong without looking at both. But this is where it gets really interesting. What happens if we flip that target around? Suddenly, we can't see the bullseye. We have no idea what the right answer is supposed to be. And this illustrates a massive difference. Without knowing where the center is, you have no way of knowing if that tight cluster of shots is biased or not. But the noisy team? You can see their problem instantly. You can see the wild scatter. This means you can actually recognize and measure noise without ever knowing the correct answer. All you need to do is look for the variability. All right, so let's move away from the shooting range, because this isn't just a fun thought experiment. This simple metaphor reveals a huge, expensive problem that's happening all around us in the real world. This quote from the book really just nails it. Noise isn't some rare, fringe issue. This random scatter in our judgment is happening everywhere people are making decisions, and the scale of it is almost always way bigger than we assume. And when I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. In medicine, two doctors can look at the same patient and come up with two different diagnoses. In the justice system, two people who committed the exact same crime can get dramatically different sentences just based on which judge they get. Asylum decisions have been called refugee roulette because your chance of being accepted depends so much on the luck of who hears your case. It's in insurance, it's in hiring, it's even in forensic science. This isn't just messy. It creates profound unfairness and costs an incredible amount of money. To really put a fine point on this, the authors of Noise talk about a study, a noise audit, they ran at a big insurance company. They had different underwriters price the exact same policies, and, well, this is the number they found. 55%. Let that sink in. That was the median difference in price set by two qualified professionals looking at the exact same risk. So a quote that one expert says is worth $9,500 could just as easily be priced at nearly $17,000 by their colleague. What you pay is essentially a lottery. It just depends on whose desk your file lands on. So if noise is this massive hidden problem, what's actually causing it? Where does all this scatter come from? Well, it turns out we can break down the total variability, what they call system noise, into three distinct sources. And understanding these is really the key to seeing just how deep this problem goes. First up, you've got what's called level noise. This is basically about the person's general tendency. Some judges are just tough. They give longer sentences on average across the board. Others are more lenient. That built-in difference in their personal baseline is a huge source of noise. But then it gets more personal. Pattern noise is all about how our unique experiences and values make us react differently to specific things. So that lenient judge might be surprisingly harsh when it comes to, say, financial fraud, maybe because of something in their own past. We each have our own unique pattern of judgment. And then we get to the most unsettling one of all, occasion noise. This is the random static inside our own heads. It means your judgment actually changes based on your mood, the time of day, how hungry you are, or even if your favorite team won last night. You are not the same decision maker in the morning as you are in the afternoon. And this quote just sums it all up perfectly. The very things that make us unique individuals, our personalities, our specific histories, our quirks, are also the main sources of error in systems that are supposed to be fair and consistent. Our judgment personality, as they call it, is what creates the noise. So this all leads to a really big question. If noise is so common and so costly, why on earth do we almost never talk about it? Why does all the attention go to bias? Well, the book offers this amazing psychological explanation using the classic figure ground illusion. Bias is the figure. It's clear, it's compelling, and it tells a story. We can point to it and find a cause. Noise, on the other hand, is just the blurry, indistinct ground. It's random messiness, there's no good story there, so our brains just ignore it. It really boils down to this. Our brains are story machines. We're wired to look for simple causes to explain things, and bias gives us a story. But noise is a statistical idea. It's about variability in a system, and that's just a lot harder for our brains to wrap themselves around.
So how do we start to fix an invisible problem? Well, step one is to make it visible. And the tool for that is something called a noise audit. The idea is really simple. You give the same problem to a bunch of different professionals, you collect their answers independently, and then you measure the spread. But that's just the diagnosis. The real treatment is what the authors call decision hygiene.
And this whole concept comes from the groundbreaking book Noise. The idea of decision hygiene is just brilliant. Think of it like washing your hands. You don't know which specific germ you're preventing, you just know the procedure works. It's the same for decisions. It means structuring the process, getting independent opinions before everyone talks, using checklists, and holding off on your gut intuition until you've looked at all the facts. We spend so much of our time and energy hunting for bias, looking for that one simple story that explains an error. But the big takeaway here is that often the biggest enemy isn't the story we can see, it's the random, invisible scatter we ignore. And the good news is we can fight it. So the next time you're facing a big decision, don't just ask yourself, am I being biased? Ask yourself, what's my decision hygiene? It's a question that could protect you from the flaw you would otherwise never see coming.